Okay, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the council meeting. The first item on the agenda is going to be apologies for absence. Over to you, Mr. Evans, please.
Thank you, Presiding Member. I have apologies from councillors Alison Anthony, Matthew Bailey, Robert Francis Davis, Joe Hale, Jeff Jones, Erica Kirshner, Mike Lewis, Richard Lewis, Cheryl Philpott and Graham Thomas. Any others?
Could I give apologies to Councillor Ryland Doyle as well, please, Presiding Member?
Thank you, Councillor Jones. Okay. Okay, the next item is disclosures of personal and prejudicial interests. If I can call on Lucy Moore, please. Thank you.
Evening all. Advice for the agenda this evening. Agenda item 9. There's no need to declare a personal or prejudicial interest if you are a local authority tenant, unless you are in arrears as set out in the Code of Conduct. Item 11 on the agenda in relation to school admissions arrangement scheme. Please only declare a debt. Sorry, agenda item 11. Please only declare a personal interest if it affects a child or somebody close to you who will be entering reception or year 7 in September 2028. Agenda item 13. Please only declare a personal and prejudicial interest if you know the appointee personally. Thank you.
Councillor Hennigan.
Yeah. Item 9, Housing Revenue Code. I'm a council tenant, but shouldn't it also say it also applies to community charge as well?
Okay, Councillor Rice.
Personal interest in item 11, as I have a child that will be going into year 7 at the time.
Oh, yeah, 1.
Okay, Anderson, sorry.
Yeah, item 9, I'm a council tenant.
Okay, Councillor Fogarty.
Item 13, colleague and personal friend of the appointee. So that's personal and prejudicial, and I will leave.
Councillor Hopkins.
Chair, just to decline interest in question 7, it's a prejudicial interest, so I will leave the room at that point.
Councillor White.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Just agreeing, because my stepsister is the council tenant, do I have to declare personal interest in agenda item 9?
Sorry, Mike, did you repeat that? I didn't
Yeah, my stepsister is the council tenant in relation to agenda number item 9.
Probably just a personal, yeah, it's just personal.
Yes, thank you.
Councillor Fogarty, did you? No, it's just like this on, sorry. Councillor McGettick.
Can I just declare a prejudicial interest on agenda item 8, as some of the recommendations from the council potentially will feed into my workplace?
I've got Councillor Beverley Hopkins online. Councillor Hopkins.
Yes, prejudicial interest also in councillor question number 7, and I will be leaving the meeting.
Thank you, Councillor Hopkins. Councillor Evans.
Just personal interest in number 13, because I know the appointee.
Thank you. Councillor Linda James. Linda? Yeah.
Item 11, personal interest. I have a grandchild starting reception in that September.
Councillor Matthews.
Question 7, personal and prejudicial, and I will leave the chamber.
Okay. Councillor Fiona Gordon.
Personal interest in item 11. My grandson will be starting reception in.
Rebecca.
Council 12, item 12, council tenant.
9.
9 and 012.
Okay. Councillor Furlong.
Item 9, I've got a Can I declare a personal interest, a relative in a council property?
Thank you, councillor Furlong. Is there anybody else, please? Oh, councillor White.
Yeah, agenda item 11, I got a great granddaughter starting nursery next.
Okay, thank you. Okay, is that everybody? Okay, we move on to the next item then, and that's the minutes. It's to approve and sign the minutes of the previous meeting as a correct record. And they're on pages 1 through to 8. I'll go through them a page at a time. Page 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. All in agreement? Yep. Then we have the written responses to questions asked at the last ordinary meeting of council, and they're on pages through from 9 through to 13. And then we have my announcements. Can I just thank you all to see so many of you wearing your Christmas attire this evening. We ask that those wearing Christmas jumpers, ties, etc. to consider donating £5 and the Grinches amongst you. I didn't say that. Those not wearing Christmas attire consider donating £10. All donations will be made to the homeless charity. Okay, thank you all. The next item is Kevin Sinfield. It was incredible to see Kevin Sinfield in Swansea yesterday as part of his 7 in 7 challenge. He aims to complete 7 ultra marathons in 7 days to raise money and awareness for those living with motor neuron disease. The route started and finished at swansea.com and included stops at the DVLA, Dunvant RFC, Swansea Bay Sports Park, and going through the historical home of Swansea rugby and cricket at St Helens. It was also a special personal moment for Kevin Sinfield as he stopped at Gorsina RFC, the birthplace of the legendary Leeds player Lewis Jones, who passed away in 2024. The 7 in 7 team dedicated the day in memory of a 14-year-old Kyle Skywoski, I think it's pronounced, a teenager from Pontypridd who passed away last Thursday after his own battle with MND. Please consider making a donation. It's online. The link is there. And Kevin Sinfield has raised over £10 million with his 5 previous challenges for those impacted by motor neuron disease, inspired by his friend and his former teammate, Rob Burrow. I think he's done an amazing achievement. It was amazing to see him yesterday. Okay, and oh, sorry, I moved it over there because Lucy's mic wasn't working. Sorry. The next item is Together at Christmas. Swansea Council, in partnership with JR Events and Catering, will host the Together at Christmas initiative on the 9th of December in 2025 at the Brangwen Hall. The event provided a free Christmas carvery lunch for the homeless, isolated and those in need. Thanks in advance to everyone. That will help. And now over to the next one, it's from the leader. Okay, let's do it.
Thank you, Presiding Member. Hopefully positive announcements this evening. My first one being to congratulate our events team again on a fantastic Christmas parade this year. Swansea Christmas Parade has now become the biggest free Christmas event in Wales, and every year it delivers, and this year was no exception. Tens of thousands of people were out in the city centre, all enjoying themselves. Our teams, not just our events team, but our highways team, the safety and security, all of the teams involved in delivering this, including the lighting and others, did an amazing job. And I just want to place on behalf of Council our thanks for that. And of course, the event didn't go unnoticed because the event also won the Event of the Year Local Authority Sector at the National Outdoor Events Association Awards 2025. So again, Presiding Member, I think it's a great accolade and well deserved in terms of the effort that has gone in to deliver what is a fantastic event. I'm also delighted that we were able to meet our deadline of opening a Storva, the new hub at the British Home Stores in the city centre, opening that this last Monday on the 1st. The teams absolutely pulled out all the stops, working throughout the weekend to enable all of the moves from the library, for all the books, all of the necessary equipment to go into Astorfa. There were people queued at the door, ready for the opening. And I know Councillor King was telling me earlier that the crowds have been quite significant since it opened, and the response online and from the general public has been hugely positive. So again, I want to place on record my thanks to Councillor King and his team and all of the teams that worked so hard to make that seamless move from the Civic Centre to Astorfa. And of course, it won't just have our new central library in there. It has the Children's Library, the Miners' Library, the brand new state-of-the-art archives, and a range of council services available for people to use and access right in the heart of our city centre. One of the things that has come up a couple of times online and in discussions with members of the public is the parking around Astorfa. We were mindful of that. I can confirm that the compound behind Marks and Spencer's will be returned to parking use in due course as soon as Kia, the contractor, are able to decant from there. So that will come back. Councillor Hopkins and Councillor Stevens have been working to ensure that we had additional disabled parking capacity in the city centre whilst the developments were going on ongoing. So again, that will be retained, and when the M&S rear car park comes back into use, that will add to it. But we thought we'd go further. Even though the bus routes are actually closer to Astorfa, the bus stops, than they were at the Civic Centre, we thought we'd go further, and I can confirm that as of Monday, we will be introducing a free shuttle service that will run regularly around the city centre. It's neatly named the Shopper Hopper, and it'll allow members of the public who want to enjoy all that Swansea City Centre has to offer to be able to jump on at the railway station or the bus station and a number of stops in between. It will also navigate right into the centre past White Walls and go and be able to drop off right at the market entrance, because I know a number of traders in the core city centre wanted to have the buses running in the core city centre again. It's a real challenge for us to get big service buses into that area, but that's why we've gone for the Shopper Hopper. Again, it'll be a free bus and it'll run from next Monday. And again, place on record my thanks to Councillor Stevens and his team, all of the teams in the transport section who've been able to bring together that initiative so quickly. Obviously, in 2027, we'll be the first region of Wales to take on bus franchising, and of course at that stage we may be able to do significantly more in terms of the bus service operations, and we welcome that opportunity to be the first in Wales. But of course we have been and will continue to offer free bus travel on selected dates up to and including Christmas. That will continue, so again giving people the opportunity to travel anywhere in the county of Swansea on selected dates. And that is just part, presiding member, of the support that is being offered this year, again from this council. We think we have the most comprehensive and significant package of support anywhere in Wales. As you've mentioned, on Tuesday we'll be once again throwing the doors of the Guildhall open and the Brandon Hall open with free meals on offer in conjunction with our excellent partners JR Catering. And it won't just be a free meal, it'll also be access to services for those people that need them from a range of council departments. In addition to that, I know a number of members have already made referrals. Their schools in their areas, their LACs and others have made referrals in from people in their areas who need a bit of extra help this winter. And again, the vouchers will start to go out to give families that additional bit of spending power to get food in for Christmas. In addition to that, of course, we're supporting again this year the Mr. X campaign, and I was privileged to go over to the Civic Centre earlier this week to see the work that our teams are doing to support the Mr. X campaign. There were literally thousands of presents being packed and made ready there to go out to children across the county and to Neath Talbot this year. And that builds on top of all of the support that we have every week in terms of Cwtch Mawr and all of the other network of support, including the emergency help that we give to people who are temporarily homeless in Swansea through our Always a Bed initiative. So again, I think we should all be really proud of the efforts we're making to support those families in need in Swansea this winter. My next one is just to again pay tribute to the work that our drainage and highways teams have been doing in the recent bad weather. We know there are ongoing significant issues, especially around the Cumbulla roundabout, not again on council land, but it is affecting council land. No, it's affecting obviously some properties in there. I want to dispel a rumour that we have checked and the culvert wasn't blocked by a load of reform flags. Okay, that isn't true, and I don't want that rumour taking hold online. We have looked; it's something else that blocked the culvert. So more seriously, more seriously, our teams are working with Welsh Water and others to make sure that that is resolved. But the reality is, it's a challenging technical situation to try and bring that culvert back into use, to make sure all the drainage is there. And again, our teams have done a fantastic job to try and limit the impacts of the heavy and rain weather that we've seen in recent weeks. And then I did have another one, which was, again, presiding member, just to say, really pleased to be able to represent Swansea and the region, together with colleagues from Urban Splash and the Chief Executive, at the Wales Investment Summit on Monday this week. We were there alongside the capital region, pitching to international investors and potential occupiers for the next phase of the Copper Bay development. That's called Porth Copper Gate. And that is part of the next phase of significant development with a development value of about 200 million. So we had a really good session. I've had some good follow-ups from that session since we attended. And again, it was also pleasing to see, some high-profile support from the business community, with the Chief Executive, I think, of Sony there, a number of other multinational companies there. Chancellor of Exchequer was there, and of course His Royal Highness Prince William was there as well. So again, I think it was a really good summit, and I think for the first year of that, a really good example of what Wales has to offer, and I hope that the efforts we've made there will see much more investment coming to Swansea for the next phase of development. So thank you, Presiding Member. My final one was just to say, you've thanked all of us for getting our Christmas attire on tonight. On behalf of Council, can I thank you for the efforts you've made again? I know you're up at 4:30 this morning cooking for everyone. And again, I think we should all give Jan a round of applause for the amazing effort we did. And likewise, thank you to Councillor Wendy Lewis for all of the organisation in terms of making sure you all pay your fines if you've put your jumpers on or not. But Chair, thank you again for the efforts you made.
You're welcome, everybody. Thank you very much. Councillor Fitzgerald.
I popped into the library on Monday to have a look at it and agree with the leader's comments. It's a very impressive building. But there is an however. The signage is not right. The library now is on 2 floors, as it was in County Hall, the ground floor and what is described as floor 1. So I went into the lift. I pressed for floor 1 and I'm thrown out onto the mezzanine floor. All the staff on day 1 were talking about the mezzanine floor. So I said, well, where's the library? Oh, press number 2 for the library. So you press number 2 for what is meant to be floor 1, and you're taken up to the library. How those things got out of step, I don't know, but it needs to be addressed.
Thank you, Councillor Fitzgerald. I'm sure that's something we can easily put right, but hopefully it gave you the opportunity to explore more of the building in the meantime.
There's got to be a bonus in there somewhere. Okay? There's nobody online, is there? Councillor Phillips.
Thank you, Chairman. The leader talked about, he dispelled a rumour about what might have been causing the blockage in the culvert that leaded to the problems at Cumbulla roundabout. The rumour that I had was that the culvert was blocked by those Reform UK policies that had gone down the toilet.
I'm going to move on swiftly. And the next item is public questions. We've got nobody coming there. Somebody's in the gallery wants to speak? No? No public questions? And what's on the agenda? Thank you. Okay, the next item is the panel performance assessment final report and council response. And can I call on Councillor Stewart, please?
Chair, I'll hand over to the Chief Exec for this item because I think it's a joint report. I'm more than happy to move it, but I'm sure the Chief Executive will want to comment on the PPA report. But more than happy to take it myself if the Chief Exec would prefer. Yeah, okay, no problem. Chair, again, really pleased to bring this report to Council. Members will know that we undertook a PPA assessment earlier this year. That produced an extremely positive report, which was glowing in many areas in terms of the work of this council, particularly noting the relationship between members and how we collaborate and co-produce a lot of what we do. I think that is one of the strengths I think this council has, that whilst we may be all from different political parties, there are clear good working relationships between members and officers, and the panel specifically noted that as a strength of Swansea Council. There are a number of other things that they looked at there, which again, they found to be extremely positive. We also asked the panel to look at our workforce sustainability and our capacity constraints in terms of things like the capital programme, because we have a huge capital programme in the city. As you know, it's the biggest or the second biggest in Wales, and certainly bigger than a council of our size would normally have. And again, they've come back with some really good recommendations there in terms of how we can continue to manage that programme effectively and how we can plan better the workforce, because we know that we have a workforce profile where certain officers are coming up to retirement age, and again about that future planning for our workforce, so that we have that follow-on planning for people who are ready to take on those senior roles. But overall, as you will see in the report, extremely positive, and really pleased to see that coming back as a review. I don't think there's been as positive a report anywhere else in Wales.
Martin.
Yeah, thank you, Leader. Just to add a couple of things. Members will be aware when we signed off the scope for the original review, this is a statutory obligation that all councils have to do within one electoral term. However, we did, as the leaders indicated, take the opportunity to not just look at the statutory elements, but to look at a number of those key elements which are outlined in the report, because really we want to get the best out of the peers who were attending. They were a very strong panel, excellently chaired. Feedback throughout the process was strong and encouraging and engaging. They certainly fed back that there's a very strong cross-council officers and members, so strong officer-member working relationship, member-member working relationship, and very strong and complementary partner feedback in terms of the engagement. Interestingly, one of the areas we specifically asked them to look at was the partner engagement, to see if there were areas we could improve on. And actually, they couldn't find any areas that could be improved on. The feedback was so strong from all of those partners they independently met. There are a number of areas which are highlighted in the report, as the leader has indicated, which do not come as any surprise to us. They were areas that we have identified we wanted to work on: digital transformation, workforce, a little bit about corporate capacity, making sure we've got the right resources in terms of programme delivery, and making sure that our overall narrative in terms of the positivity that we are providing as a collective council is conveyed effectively, simplistically and consistently to the public. So that's a bit of work that's ongoing at the moment. Effectively, we now approve the action plan. We're working through the action plan already, and we'll be using that to focus our efforts over the next couple of years. So thank you, Presiding Member.
Have somebody to move the report, please.
Yeah, formally move, please, Chair.
Second. Thank you. Okay. Questions from Francesca, please.
Thank you, Presiding Member. It was an interesting report to read, actually, and on page 15, I'm glad to see that Swansea Council has been rebranded as Team Swansea, obviously taking influence from our work in Mumbles with our collaborative working. So I'm really pleased to see we are impacting on these reports, even though we haven't had an engagement. But observations aside, just two questions. I picked up that it was over a space of 4 days, and I know from other consultations and public engagement that can always be quite low. When we've, during these 4 days, how many residents were engaged with, firstly? And secondly, I picked up on the statement that residents are supportive to the council's approach as a city of sanctuary. Just wanted to see where the data was on that, please. Thank you.
Okay, on the first bit, bit of history lesson for Councillor O'Brien. Actually, Team Swansea, we've used that since 2016 because we used it ahead of signing the city deal, actually, and it was where we pulled together all of the partners. So it's many moons ago, but I'll have no problem with you stealing that title from us. There'll be no charge for that. On the second bit around who was interviewed over the 4 days, I don't have the number to hand, but I'm sure that's something we can look at. But certainly, as the Chief Exec said, all of those who were, okay, I won't flick through and find it at the moment, but if it's in the report, I'll direct you to the right page in a minute. But in terms of all of those that were interviewed, again, as Chief Exec said, that was very positive in terms of feedback, certainly from stakeholders. One of the things I think that was picked up, which we are looking at, is in terms of our communications. They thought we were very strong in terms of communicating what we were doing and how we were doing it. One of the things that we're looking at is making sure we go that extra step so that we explain how what we do impacts specific groups of individuals or residents in our community. So if we're investing in A, B or C, how will that affect a person in a certain community, in a certain sector? So again, we're looking at with our comms team about how we can add that additional layer of explanation and understanding. In terms of City of Sanctuary, we've been a City of Sanctuary for 10 years. I don't think we've specifically longer than that, yeah, but I certainly don't think that, as far as I can tell, there's any will in the general public that we don't continue to live by the values of the human rights city that we are. I'm unclear why that, out of all of the things in the report, appears to be an issue for Councillor O'Brien.
Councillor Mary Jones, please.
Beg pardon, I couldn't hear. I'm on page 44, reference 11. It's a really simple question, actually. What is the current panel makeup of the Capital Programme Board, and will council members be included?
In terms of the Capital Programme Board, yes, so that is being established currently, and yes, councillors, cabinet members will definitely be sitting on that as part of the new structure.
Okay.
So again, at the moment, the proposal is just cabinet members sit on it in terms of the management of the capital programme. Obviously, other members will have a chance to scrutinise the work through the scrutiny process.
Councillor Rice.
Thank you. My question also relates to the same panel recommendation 11 on page 44. It talks about capacity there. What plans beyond the ones which are proposed in the actions here does the leader and the council have to improve capacity in delivery of capital projects, especially within the education section? As I know that if you looked at a profile of projects over a number of years, there's been some significant delays and underspends in the capital programme within new education facilities and refurbishments.
Yeah, currently the Chief Executive is looking at a new structure that we will align to the Capital Programme Board. So again, it's about new controls and a new structure. And within that, it will be how we can best manage the delivery of not just the general capital programme, if you like, the commercial capital programme, but also then the delivery of the next phase of school projects. And obviously, there's a significant HRA capital programme which is ongoing. So it's about making sure that all of the things that the council does, which is probably more than £500 million when you add all that together, we will obviously be coming forward with the next phase of school builds in due course. And again, that will need to be planned. I think the key thing here is to make sure that the key resources that we have that underpin our ability to do certain tasks within the projects are sufficient to enable us to run that scale of capital programme. Some of those posts have been quite difficult to recruit to, and that's not just a Swansea problem, that's a Wales problem. And again, you know, some of those posts do require or do command quite significant salaries in the private sector, which is why public sector wise we struggle to recruit into some of those posts. So again, when the Chief Executive has done the review, that new structure will come back to Council for Council to consider.
Okay, Councillor May.
Point 5, Leader, consider enhancing corporate capacity of the organisation to enable an impact service delivery. Note an ambitious target of New Year's Eve for the first phase of it. Question is, it leads on then for 3 months later to, you know, to ask for any additional funding needs for that. Are we looking to create any more additional sort of white collar management posts to assist with the frontline delivery, or would that include recruiting extra staff on our press frontline services too?
I'm not sure I've understood the question correctly from Councillor May. I think what I'll say, obviously I'm more than happy to have a follow-up conversation, but my understanding is the Chief Executive is looking at a number of ways in which the teams could be reorganised at the most senior level within project and programme management. Underneath that, obviously, there is always a churn of individuals who join, leave. We've obviously had some really regrettable losses in terms of key personnel who passed away. So there has been some change in all of that. I think the key thing here is making sure we've got the right resources in the right area. And again, once we know what the programme requires in terms of a structure, I'll be able to more accurately answer that question.
Thanks, Leader.
If I may, President Member, just I guess some sort of technical comments on that. As the leader has outlined, there's 2 aspects. So the paragraph 5 you're referencing is very much those frontline staff around digital services, HR services. I think what had come across in the review was, you know, over the years to austerity, there had been reductions in corporate services, which is sometimes inevitable, but it actually probably made us a bit too lean. And that meant when we have ambitious transformation programmes, including things like digital services, we may not have had enough resources to be able to meet all of the demands. So those resources in that paragraph 5 very much references that frontline delivery. That's in addition to an overall new corporate management structure that I, as a leader, said would be bringing to Council for Council to consider in the new year. So not instead of, it's complementary to that.
Thank you to both Leader and Chief Executive for putting it into context. That's helpful. Thanks.
Councillor Holly.
A bit of context into what the Leader said. And I feel it is important that it is repeated. The city of Sanctuary and the whole issue about sanctuary in Wales was developed many, many years ago, fully supported by everyone that was in the chamber at the time. And I think we should all do the same again. There is an underlying disease, is the best way of putting it, about people complaining about the city of Swansea. At the end of the day, my own Christian belief and the belief of everybody in this chamber, I believe, is to care for people who are in trouble, who have got problems. And that is what the city of Swansea was. And I think we should be very, very proud of the fact that we do it, and we've done it, and we've done it for many, many years. And I do feel quite strongly about it, and I think everybody else too. Can I just also say about the Capital Programme Board? In the last council meeting, and unfortunately you weren't here, I mentioned the fact that the FPR7s that are issued for capital programmes only go to Cabinet. Now, scrutiny and can call in things and what have you, but it does not make a decision. That is a Cabinet decision. And what we are asking is, in this particular case, let Council have a say in how the capital monies are spent in Swansea. That's all we're asking for. But to go back on the city of Swansea, I hope everybody in this chamber supports it.
And I absolutely associate myself with the comments on the City Sanctuary for Chris, the Leader of the Opposition, has made. Absolutely 100% the same for me. I think the creep of trying to re-designate City of Sanctuary as a negative thing, or as a thing that takes stuff away from people rather than giving people in need the support they need. We should all challenge that at every opportunity. And, you know, I'm very, very clear. We took the right steps, I think, as an authority to become Wales's first human rights city, to set out our stall, to make it clear to people that Swansea is a place that will give people a voice, will give people support in their darkest hour. And as part of that, the City of Sanctuary work that we've been associated with, as Leader Opposition said, for many years, will continue, and that is something we are looking to redesignate in due course. On the point about the capital programme, I'm going to disagree a little bit on this one. I think it's important. It would have been the same when the previous administration were in place. It is for the administration to decide on how those capital monies are allocated. That was something the previous cabinet did. It's something that we've continued to do. I'm more than happy, as is all other cabinet members, to turn up and to answer questions of scrutiny. And of course, FPR 7s, whilst they do go to cabinet, they are circulated to all members in advance so that members can look at those documents. And of course, members can attend scrutiny to ask questions on them. So the decision, quite rightly, sits with cabinet, but the ability to question and scrutinise is available to all councillors.
Councillor Phillips. Councillor Phillips.
As one of the architects of Swansea Council becoming a city of sanctuary, I'd like to agree with the leader and the leader of the opposition and in the remarks that they've done. And I think that Councillor O'Connor misunderstands what being the city of sanctuary is. It isn't a service question. It's an ethos question. It's part of what we think a council is about. It's what a council should be doing. It isn't just about there's something that we happen to be spending money on. It's the way we would look at life in Swansea. Swansea has been is a port, which has welcomed people from all over the world, and that's imbued the way Swansea people are. I come from Liverpool originally, which also is a big port with a large ethnic mix in it. The two cities are very similar in the way that they group together socially and in the way they react to other people. And it would be a deleterious step if, on the grounds of, oh, this is going to cost money, that we actually say, well, it doesn't matter what we believe. It doesn't matter what we think. If it doesn't matter what we think is right, this has got money, we're not doing it because it's not for us. It's for other people who are coming here. It's a shameful question to have asked, but it's based, I believe, on a misunderstanding, and perhaps Councillor O'Connor needs to do a little bit more research.
Yeah, so if you permit me, at Corporate Parenting Board yesterday, we had an update from our care leavers service, and they were talking a bit about the work that they do with our unaccompanied asylum-seeking children. And one of them was a case study, and if you don't mind, I'd like to share a bit about this case study. It's a young man called Adam. He's 18, he was originally from Eritrea. His father died when he was 9, leaving his mother, him and 2 younger siblings. When he was 12, he had to stop his education and work because they didn't have enough money in the family. He said that he loves Eritrea and he misses his family and country very much, but there was military service and the military went around the streets taking men who look old, males who looked old enough. He's not a man, he was a boy at this point. Many men go missing, fathers, husbands, sons, many die or never return from the military service. And when he was 14, they tried to take him and he escaped and had to pay smugglers to smuggle him out of the country. When the smuggler took him through Libya, they tortured the Eritrean smuggler and sold him as a slave. This is Adam, the boy who's come to Swansea. After a year, the smugglers contacted his mother and threatened her that if she didn't pay them to smuggle him out of Libya, they would kill them. So his mother sold all his land, and all others in the village all clubbed together to make the money to save his life. He was 16 when he got to the UK. He got off a smuggler's boat in Kent. You know, in spite of what people say, these are people with real stories and, you know, deserve to be here. He was interviewed by the Home Office, told he was being moved to Swansea after 2 days, didn't know what was going on, didn't know where Swansea was, but a taxi driver told him that he'll be safe in Swansea. It's a nice place, it has a beach. He was dropped off at a house, he met with social services, he was also taken to East, who supported him. A lot more, but anyway, his final words were, "Now I live in my forever home. I work 3 jobs, I drive, I own my own car, I have many friends in Swansea, but most of all, I feel safe, finally." And I think that sums up City of Sanctuary to me.
Councillor Mary Jones. Thank you, Presiding Member. I was going to positive story as well, sorry. The Community Council in Calais, along with myself, and I know Councillor Gibbard attended, we did an event in May called One Calais. We had many, many people from very different backgrounds. Some were refugees, some were just representing their own nationality. And it was a successful event, except for the fact that people didn't come and support it. And it was quite disappointing that. We had the supporters of the people that were taking part, and very, very few individuals came to support it. We worked with the City of Sanctuary to get the event, to get people, they could have had bus fares and different things to get there if they needed to, but we've still got an awful lot more work to do to get people to accept that we have refugees here. They cannot work. They have a very small amount of money to live off every day. They rely on some of them on food banks. They don't want to be here or begging, as put it that way. We have political refugees, quite a lot of them, that they fled in danger, as Councillor Gibbers just said, of their lives. I went to a City of Sanctuary meeting not so long ago, and a young man was giving us a little talk about he had come to this country and he'd managed to get himself a place at Cambridge, and he'd done very, very well. It's very sad. Even when I was Cabinet Member all those years ago, we were asking people to be tolerant to others. And we're in 2025 now, and I finished being a Cabinet Member in 2012. I'm sorry. You know, we are trying our best. We are a city where we are welcoming people. Councillor O'Brien.
Sorry, just for clarity, because I think O'Connor was mentioned there. So it's Councillor Francesca O'Brien. I think Angela, her ears pricked up then with Councillor David Phillips. But secondly, I don't think there is absolutely any harm if that is in the report. And it was a very good report. I'm just picking up on a few points. The fact that it has said that residents are unsupportive. I've asked a simple question, and I don't, you know, we live in a democratic society, and I don't think there's any harm in asking that question. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Last one. Put your mic on, please, Councillor Phillips.
I'm, on a point of order, Chairman, I'm grateful for the correction from Councillor O'Brien, and I sincerely apologise of confusing her with Councillor O'Connor.
Okay, thank you. Okay, it's been discussed and it's been proposed and seconded. So can I have the recommendation is that, sorry, just put my glass on, that we note the panel's report and approve the PPA action plan. Can I have a show of hands in support, please? Any against? Any abstentions? Okay, that's carried. Okay, thank you. We move on to the next item then, and that's the housing revenue account. Can I call on Councillor Andrea Williams, please?
Yes, thank you, Presiding Member. Just a reminder for members that the housing revenue account, the HRA, is a ring-fenced account. So any rents that are collected, they are recycled and invested back into not only our existing council homes in terms of bringing homes up to the Welsh Housing Quality Standard and introducing energy efficiency measures, but also building new, highly energy efficient homes as power stations homes across Swansea, which have been really gratefully received. So it's critically important that we get the right balance and the right money into the HRA to be able to make the right investment. Due to a Welsh Government change in policy, the Welsh Government rents policy has now changed to the rent and service charge standard, which will be active from 2026 to 2036. So in effect, 10 years. And that standard has changed the way that we are able to raise rents and the cap on us being able to raise rents. So as an example, our business case was predicated against a 5% increase in rents, but because of the Welsh Government policy, we were unable to go to that. We're only able to go when CPI, the Consumer Price Index, falls between 3% and 5%. We're only able to raise a further 0.5%. So given in September that CPI was 3.8, that means that our rent increase proposed in this report is 4.3%. You'll see an affordability analysis at Appendix A, but I think it's worth pointing out that even though we're increasing rents slightly, we are still the most affordable social landlord in Swansea compared to RSLs and particularly the private sector, bar one type of house type that you'll see in the report with coastal housing. So it's still very affordable. And when you look at the table across Wales, we're virtually in the middle of the table when it comes to the average rent that we charge in Swansea. So I think we're still very competitive. I know that there are people in the private sector who are really struggling to pay extortionate rents. And this is why I think we always need to get that right balance between increasing rents enough that we can invest in our homes and invest in support for our tenants, but not charging too much so that it becomes unaffordable. So very happy to propose that we move the recommendations to increase council rents by 4.3%, and happy to take any questions.
Can I have somebody to second the report first, please? Okay, thank you. Okay, Councillor Mary Jones.
I can't actually find the part I wanted to ask, so I'm going to try and remember. In previous years, we've had a table that's shown where we are going forward, and you said we're 4.3, which is lowest. Have you any idea what the other social landlords are going to be putting up there? Are they capped as well at 4.3, or can they go higher?
Yes, we do usually, you're right, we do usually provide that table, and we are in the middle of gathering some stragglers in terms of what their position is, but I can tell you that in Swansea, they're all going for the maximum. And most of our fellow authorities that are stockholders are going to be doing the same, 4.3% overall, yeah.
Any more questions? Ludi online? Okay, the recommendations are there. It's that the rents be increased by 4.3 within the maximum permitted under Welsh Government policy as detailed in paragraph 15, and fees and charges and allowances are increased by 4.3 as outlined in paragraph 16. So can I have a show of hands in support, please? Anybody against? Have you noted here? Yeah. Any abstentions? Okay, that's carried. Thank you. We move on to the next item then, and that's the policy commitments monitoring report. Can I call on Councillor Andrew Williams, please?
Yeah, thanks, Chair. I'm pleased to present the...
Hey, Andrew, before you start, can I ask the people that are online to put your cameras on, please, if you're attending the meeting? Thank you. Over to you, Councillor Williams, sorry.
Thank you, Chair. I'm pleased to present the policy commitments monitoring report, which covers our progress from April 2024 to September 2025. The report shows we are delivering on our promises. I'm proud to say that 94% of our policy commitments and 97% of our 100-day pledges are either on track or complete. There are no commitments rated as red, which means none are significantly delayed. We've made strong progress across all areas. In education, major projects are moving forward, and we are seeing improvements in attendance and leadership. In care, we've opened new children's homes and expanded daycare services. Our work on climate change continues, with more LED streetlights and electric charging points being installed, and tree planting is ongoing. We've also invested in our communities with new cleansing teams, better public toilets and improved play areas. Our More Homes project has delivered over 300 extra homes, and we're supporting people facing homelessness, even though demand remains high. Major regeneration projects like 71, 72 The Kingsway are helping create jobs and boost our local economy. Financially, we ended the year with a balanced budget and have replenished our Economic Recovery Fund. We have achieved 71% of our planned savings. Of course, there are still challenges. Achieving net zero carbon emissions by 2030 remains tough without more investment. housing and homelessness continue to be pressured by market conditions and high demand. Some regeneration schemes are affected by inflation and viability issues. And while more savings have been delivered, we need to keep up our efforts. We're managing these risks through strong partnerships, new ways of working, and careful financial management. In summary, the report shows we are making real progress for Swansea. I'd like to thank everyone involved for their hard work and commitment. I recommend the Council notes the performance in delivering our policy commitments for this period. Thank you, Chair.
Second, Chair.
Any questions? Councillor Rice.
Thank you. I've just got one question on page 75. It relates to the amber note on 1.24, which is to do with homelessness. One thing that strikes me is obviously this is an issue that's pressing across the whole of the UK at the moment, and we're certainly not alone in that. One area that I think could potentially help us is almost like an invest to save principle in terms of buying more homes. Rather than building them, I think building them is a good thing to do, but we can buy more homes. There are a number of houses which are on the market for substantial periods of time in Swansea and in key areas where there's already social housing. I suggest that we look at trying to put more money into that section to improve our performance in that area, whilst I do recognise that it is a crisis for every local authority across the UK.
Councillor Williams.
Yeah,
Councillor
thank you
Andrew
for the
Williams.
question, and I don't disagree that it's very simple, quick and easy to make acquisitions, bring those back into our stock. But what we do have to carefully consider is the design and the type of building and dwelling, which is why it's often easier for us to bring ex-council right to buys back into our stock, because they meet the standard and it's easy for us to bring them up to the standard. When you look at some private housing, they're in such poor condition that it doesn't make good sense to invest heavily in bringing those up to a good standard because it costs more. So we do surveys on private homes, for example, but often the surveys come back that it's not cost effective. So that's why we look at different house types, and also recognising that the demand is there for single bedroom accommodation, which is quite high. So when you've got a communal block of flats, for example, and maybe half of them are council and half of them are private, it makes good sense for us to buy those private ones back and then readdress and refurbish the whole block. So we are considering it, and we're always looking at the balance sheet. But I think we need to strike the balance between building new and buying back and doing it all, as opposed to just pitching, just focusing on one area, because ultimately we need thousands of homes and acquisitions won't take us over the line with that. But we do seek Welsh Government funding continuously to increase our acquisitions. And if there are any properties that ward members have in their wards that they're thinking of, then please send us the addresses and we can look into that further.
Councillor May.
Thank you very much. 1.32 attractions. Penderyn Distillery's been very popular. I've visited it myself as well. It's a very good attraction. It's come up as blue there. Do we have any insight of when they're going to recommence whisky production on site again? Because I don't know what the exact status is at the moment. Has it started or is it still paused? Thank you.
Councillor Stewart, can you?
Yeah, thank you, Presiding Member. I don't have any further details. Obviously, what the Penderyn site does continue to give is both greater capacity but also resilience to the operation that Penderyn have. And I guess it'll depend on the whole cost of living crisis and how the economy picks up. And as that picks up, I'm sure Penderyn's production will pick up also.
Okay, there's no more questions. The recommendations are that the council notes the performance in delivery and the council's policy and the commitments from April 24 to September 25. So can I have a show of hands in support, please? Any against? Any abstentions? Okay, that's carried. Thank you. Move on to the next item then, and that's the Coordinated Schools Admissions Arrangement Scheme, September 2028. Can I call on Councillor Smith?
Yeah, thank you, Presiding Member. Happy to move the report. It deals with the administrative process and the administrative arrangements for school admissions. So I formally move the report, President Member.
Sorry,
Is there-
Chair, happy to second.
Oh, sorry, Councillor Thomas.
Thanks. I'd just like to thank the Cabinet member as well, because as you know, last year education scrutiny looked at the admissions policy, and one of the issues that a number of constituents have brought forward to me, which is the in catchment with a sibling, but living a distance from the school, not being guaranteed a place. And I know we debated this in scrutiny, and the officers did a lot of work on it, so thank you very much for that. I would like to, I'm just taking this opportunity to keep it on the radar, really. So nothing more than that, but that's why I'll be abstaining from this, because I do still agree that that should be something that the council does. Thank you.
Yeah, that's not specifically within the remit of this report, but I'll bear that in mind, Councillor.
Okay, if there's no more questions, the recommendation is that the proposed coordinated schools admission arrangement scheme, September 28, set out in Appendix A, is approved. So can I have a show of hands, please? Anybody against? Any abstentions? Okay, that's carried. Thank you. The next item is the council tax base calculation for 26-27. Can I call on Mr. Ben Smith, please?
Thank you, Presiding Member. Normal statutory report at this time of year. The provisional figures were given to the Welsh Government as is required by law to enable them to provide for the provisional settlement, which has already come out. As the report sets out in its summary, it is the basis on which you determine the base for this council, all community councils, the Port Health Authority, and indirectly through to the Police and Crime Commissioner, who is also being given indicative figures. So it drives a large swathe of public sector spending and support through general taxation. The report itself is in its normal, very technical format. My apologies to Mr. Evans, who will have to have his biggest, bestest pen as ever, because the whole recommendation does need to be written down when I hand over to the leader. The report itself is otherwise relatively self-explanatory. There's a combination of physical builds of new houses, but also ins and outs around empty and second homes, which always complicates it a bit. But which results in a significant add to the physical tax base. And in addition, I am proposing on my technical advice a further 0.5% increase in the assumed collection rate, all of which significantly adds to the total tax base. So the tax base is growing, which means when council comes to make a deliberation on council tax in March, there are more people paying, more households paying, and for any given level of council tax yield required, the headline bandee will be able to be reduced accordingly. So I said when I brought forward my assumptions last month, waiting for the UK government's budget and the Welsh government's provisional settlement, that I was relatively chilled. This just adds to my relative chill factor. That's all I need to give in terms of technical advice, and I will defer to the leader and seek him to move the report, but I'm happy to take technical questions if there are any. Thank you, Presiding Member.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Councillor Stewart.
Thank you, Presiding Member. Nothing to add to the report. Grateful for Mr. Smith for the preparation and the introduction, and formally move.
Any questions? No?
Do we need a second?
Oh, sorry, and then Councillor Williams, thank you. Okay, the recommendation is on page 113, so can I have a show of hands in support of it, please? Any against? Any abstentions? Okay, that's carried. Thank you. The next item is the recruitment of a community town councillor to the Standards Committee. Can I call on Mr. Evans, please?
I'm just waiting for some.
Oh,
people
sorry,
to leave
somebody
the
needs to
chamber.
leave. Okay, sorry, Councillor Dodley. Okay.
I can see that Councillor Keaton's got a hand raised.
Yeah, Councillor Keaton.
Yes, presiding member. I have to state a personal interest. I know Carrie Townsend-Jones.
Okay, it's just a personal, Sarah, yeah?
Just personal.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Presiding Member. The Standards Committee must contain a community town councillor representative. We've not had one on the committee since...
Sorry to interrupt you. I think Lucy needs to make a recommendation.
Sorry, Councillor Keaton, I think your interest is prejudicial, please. Would you mind? leaving, same as Councillor Fogarty. She knows her personally.
Yep, thank you.
She knows her personally. Oh, with her.
She has left anyway, Stevens.
So apologies there, just checking on interests. Okay, so as I was saying, a community town councillor representative must be on the standards committee. We've not had one since the last representative resigned back in May 2025. We've run the process a few times, and the standards committee interviewed community councillor Carrie Townsend-Jones of Mumbles Community Council on the 11th of November and have recommended her appointment to the Standards Committee. That is a matter for Council to determine yea or nay. Thank you very much.
Sorry. Okay, where am I at? Can I have somebody to propose a post, please? Somebody, yeah,
Formally move, Chair.
and somebody to second.
Happy to second.
Okay, any questions? Okay, can I have a show of hands in support, please? Any against? Any abstentions? Okay. Thank you. Can we call Rebecca back in? How do we call Helen's back in? Can you call Sarah back in? Because we're not sure how to do it.
Yeah, give me a moment to try that. Is she then?
Okay. Okay, we move on to item 14 then, and that's the membership of committees. I'm not sure who's taking this. It's Rebecca. Okay, thank you. I knew it was somebody different was on here, but I couldn't remember who it was. Sorry. Okay, Rebecca, over to you.
Thank you, Presiding Member. I'm happy to move the report with one amendment, which is under Governance and Audit Committee, to delete Councillor Leslie Welton and add Councillor Patience Bentu. Thank you.
Councillor Hopkins.
Happy to second.
You. Any questions? No. Okay, can I have a show of hands in support then, please? Any against? Any abstentions? Okay, we now move on to the councillors' questions then. And the first question is from Councillor Mary Jones.
Thank you, Presiding Member. Since I wrote the question, I've actually been to the workshop as well that they ran about going forward, which was very interesting, I have to say. But my question is, although you've given me a very good, long answer, the problem we've got is they do the consultation. We're doing it from January to December 2026, but any schemes might not come forward for 5 or even 10 years. Well, people have forgotten what was in the scheme when it's put out. Now, with the major schemes, I understand you go back out to consultation. If I use Klein Common as a major scheme, I know you've had people have been to road shows or whatever you want to call them to talk about it, but the minor schemes are not included. So I think there needs to be a mechanism that there's more public consultation just before a minor, you know why I'm saying this, a minor scheme is put out, not just with ward members and not just with user groups, but community councillors weren't asked, the general public weren't asked. And I think if we did that, we'd not have many problems when we actually go to do a minor scheme.
Councillor Stevens.
I didn't technically catch a question there, Chair, but yeah. No, it's fine. It's fine. So as I outlined in the response, we did do extensive consultation on our ATNM, and that we are now going to refresh that at the moment as well, which I've heard you've all taken part in the consultation so far, and some good comments have come up. I can remember I wasn't cabinet member at the time, but I can remember in 2021
when I fed back on a number of routes in my own ward, and I pointed a number of my own constituents to specific routes in my own ward, just to gauge that this could come forward at some point in the future. We can't do in-depth consultation on every single scheme. We just can't. And in particular, into some of the ones in Clyne Valley, we have had some issues with opposition on some of the other routes that turned out to be very well received in the end. Once the works was done, we engage heavily with our stakeholder groups. We do have to try and rely on representatives of those specific groups that would have a good use in terms of us improving our active travel network. But realistically, in some of them, they are resurfacing existing pathways, even though there is some debate on exactly what that pathway particularly is. But the ultimate aim of it is not only to improve active travel, but it's to improve usage, is to get people out and about, is to get walking, wheeling. It's to really get people into these areas who might not have been able to. I mean, take our public rights away, and the fact that we resurfaced the Gower Coastal Path in terms of trying to improve access on that as well. It's just to get more people using these, get them out in nature, get them out, get them fit, healthy. And as I said, yeah, whether that's walking, wheeling, cycling, or on horseback as well, because you've got to ultimately remember that some of these are bridle ways, which is why we went the extra way to try and consult with some of the British Horse Society. So, yeah.
You just mentioned the bridleway, but it's the surface. It's not the actual scheme. It's the surface in some cases. And we know that we've had 2 bridleways done now, or 1 done and 1 proposed. And the people that actually ride the horses, not the British Horse Society, say they're not suitable. So I think we need to look at what surface we're using. Yes, we are bringing them up to standard, but this particular one is an ancient path which has got the bricks in it from the original brickworks, and it's a pity we can't incorporate things like that into new paths so that we're not losing the history and heritage of any site, not just the one I'm talking about. But it is a pity we can't consult with others, especially community councils. You're on one yourself. They have a wealth of knowledge. They walk paths and different things. User groups perhaps don't even use the routes that we're talking about, which is quite sad, really. And then you've got people that use the route, want to make a comment, and just after, say, 5 years, it's been forgotten that it was ever put it forward as a path. So can you look at the surfaces we use and, just speak to other people, not just the user groups? Thank you.
We got the question eventually.
Can I just respond in terms, we are looking at if there are any heritage areas of any of our routes and we can preserve them. We do. I mean, the Grovesend to Pontedella link to be a classic example into where we took part of the old railway and we made it a feature of the route there. So it's certainly something that we do, whether it's bricks in terms of the pathways. And in terms of the use as a bridleways and the impact on equine use, so that I'm sure you'll understand that I learned to ride when I was 8 to 10 years old, got 2 ponies and looking for a 3rd one myself. So just leave that there.
Okay, next question from Councillor Wendy Lewis. No, Councillor Walton, do you want to speak? Sorry.
Yes, I just wanted to comment and stress that, and I'm hoping that the cabinet member will agree with me, that not only is this a good thing and a good achievement, it also encourages people to use the coastal path more, but also such a positive asset from an advert to getting more tourists to come to Gower.
Yeah, absolutely. I would agree. And in fact, the upgrades to the coastal path have opened up a stunning part of our coastline to far more people. The improved surfacing between Rotherslade and Limeslade make it easier for families, as I referenced in the previous question, with pushchairs and wheelchair users, with more than 100,000 people, I believe, using this route each year, and we expect that to rise. it is a huge asset, and that helps people be more active, and it's certainly a strong draw for visitors. Our countryside team deserve real credit for delivering this work and planning ahead where coastal erosion is at risk, and I'll thank Councillor Thomas for actually referencing the council in his media interview that he done on this particular one, and referencing the administration's push on this to make sure that this route was delivered. So I mean, the countryside access team even looks at the countryside team. They will even look at the wider environments of some of these routes, and just wanted to highlight some of the excellent work done with the dry stone walling down in Mewslade and Rosilly. Fantastic example of not just improving the route, but trying to improve the aesthetics around there as well. I mean, this was a joint effort between the council, other partners led by skilled wallers such as Andy Roberts, and a real good volunteering team behind them, putting a huge shift to protect the feature that defines the Gower landscape. So, and just as I referenced in the last question, we're applying the same approach with our shared use routes, in particular, as I said, reference the work that we've done on Clyne Valley with widening and resurfacing existing paths, improved drainage, added biodiversity into the schemes, so these routes are safer and easier for people who walk, wheel, ride, or what have you. Via out stakeholder groups as well, as I said, the active travel team work directly with groups like Bikeability, the British Horse Society, and others to make sure that their needs are considered from the start. So these improvements on both the types of right of way, because I know we've got shared use paths, but we've got the public rights of way as well, bridleways, open them up to more people of varying abilities. That helps facilitate active travel, improve health and well-being, and encourage more people to get out and be active.
Okay, can I just remind everybody there are 10 questions. You're allowed roughly 3 minutes per question. So can I ask you to just be a little bit precise so that we can get more questions in? Okay, Councillor Thomas.
Thanks. Yeah, and credit where credit's due. You know, I know there's obviously a limited amount of money in the council, but I really appreciate the fact that the council recognises the importance of the coastal path. You know, I mean, the Welsh National Coastal Path is one of our biggest assets, and we could spend millions of pounds on tourism and regenerating certain areas. But I think in comparison, you know, it's huge value for money and what it brings and why people want to visit, you know, the Gower and everywhere. So I know there's a complex section between Caswell and Langland, for example, that's still on the wish list. But again, when we're talking about what that will bring to the area in form of tourism, bang for your buck, that's going to be a huge amount, great investment. I do genuinely believe that that'll bring more people that, you know, being able to enjoy that coastal path than some of the other projects that we do. So, you know, credit where it's due. Thank you to the Cabinet member and the Cabinet for investing in the coastal path, and hopefully you can continue to do other parts of the Gower coastal path. Thank you.
Councillor May.
Thank you. Remiss of me, I've got to declare an interest first of all. I'm a member of the Ramblers, so I'll fill the paperwork in for that. Saying that though, I'd like to actually pay the administration a rare compliment on this. The coastal path modifications have been excellent and well received. The surfacing is very good on it. I know the effects of coastal erosion, having had an extra 7-kilometre detour after a 100-kilometre walk around the perimeter of the Isle of Wight recently. So that's the things there. Have we identified any more areas of potential erosion that we need to be looking at? And also, what is the status at the moment of the little section, I think it's just before Horton, where you have to do a detour? You know, have we got progress on that at all? I know it's an act of nature and everything, but just to keep informed. Thank you very much for your work.
Yeah, thanks, Councillor May. Yeah, I believe the team are looking at a number of different areas across the whole public right-of-way network, and they do try and keep on top of these issues as and when they arise. But I'll take on board and mention one or two of those additional areas. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Stevens. Okay, the next question is from Councillor Peter May. Or Councillor Rice, you're asking you.
Thank you, Presiding Officer. I've got 3 quick questions for the leader and follow up from this one. The first question is the leader aware of any connection between Skyline Swansea and the Buckingham Group? The second question is, as we're prepared, obviously, to support this as a council with finance to a company which benefits mainly in New Zealand, is the leader also happy to support local traders and businesses that have been affected by things beyond their powers in Swansea, for example, the sinkhole in Brynmore Road? And the final question is, does the leader agree with his fellow running mate for the Senate elections, Mike Hedges, that this is not a good use of public money?
Okay, I'll take those 3 relatively straightforward questions. First one, Skyline and Buckingham Group. I don't believe there's any direct link between Skyline or any indirect link between Skyline and Buckingham Group, although there may be individuals who are employed by Buckingham who have since sought employment with other contractors in the city, and they may well be employed as part of the Skyline team, but that will need to be confirmed. In terms of traders and businesses, yes, Councillor Rice will know that we've provided significant amounts of support to businesses during COVID, and since then we've also provided significant amounts of support through the Shared Prosperity Fund and through the work that we do through Transforming Towns. So that support is equally available to businesses here. I guess what's different about the Skyline deal is that it's an investment package jointly between ourselves and Welsh Government, which is available to companies investing in Wales and the UK, specifically Wales. And of course, our deal is structured in a way that we get all of the resources back at a point in time, and following on from that, we should then be into profit for taxpayers. In terms of the comments I think made some time ago by Mr. Hedges, I disagree with his view on that. I've been very clear for my support for Skyline, and I continue to be very supportive of the aims of establishing an adventure park for Swansea, given the clear economic benefits it'll bring.
The next question is from Councillor Francesca O'Brien, please.
Nothing further.
Okay, thank you. The next one is from Councillor Jeff Jones, Councillor Corley or Linda James, whichever one of you is going to speak it.
There's no further questions.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we move on to question 6 then, and that's from Councillor Mai Baker. Councillor Gordon.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks for the detailed response. I'd like to ask the Cabinet Member if he'd join me in thanking the incredible amount of work that the Armed Forces Champion does to support veterans throughout the year.
Thank you, Councillor.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Gordon. Absolutely. I sit also as a member of the Armed Forces Covenant Partnership Panel, and I see the work that Councillor Lewis does as Armed Forces Champion in bringing lots of groups together to attend that meeting. But also, you know, I know as Armed Forces Champion, Councillor Lewis attends lots and lots of events to meet with veterans groups, to support, but also a lot of work with our cadet forces as well, which I know is really greatly appreciated by those involved. So very, of course, absolutely agree. Thank you.
The next question is from Councillor Mike Day or Councillor Furlong. Not sure. Oh, sorry, Councillor Hopkins. Yeah, better left, yeah. And Nick is gone as well, yeah. Okay, is Councillor Day online? I'm not sure. Councillor Locke.
Question number 7?
Yes, we are.
Yes, thank you. Right, I am very grateful to the leader for his answer on the Swiss cottage in Singleton Park. However, Sketty councillors are concerned about the condition of Swiss cottage and the lack of progress so far. We ask that a meeting be set up with officers to discuss the way forward. Thank you.
Leader.
Chair, just further to my response, I know there has been some delay and that's explained in the written response. More than happy for Councillor Locke to receive a briefing from officers. Doesn't have to come to council and ask me for that. He's perfectly entitled to ask officers direct for a briefing at any time. Officers serve all councillors, not just cabinet, but more than happy to arrange that meeting.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, the next question is from Councillor Fiona Gordon.
No, it's me.
Oh, sorry.
It's fine. I think the cabinet member and everyone else is pleased to see that this is finally going ahead, and apparently will be not as costly as first thought.
Apparently that's correct. We are in the process of issuing the contracts, so it would be inappropriate to comment on that now, but yes, we are making good progress in this. And of course, this is the end of an era in many ways, because it will involve the demolition of the former Daniel James, or prior to that, Mynydd Girls Comprehensive School. I think it was something else before that even, and I believe there are former pupils of that school in the chamber this evening. I'm glad to say that some of the mementos, or that all of the mementos, like the plaque that was commemorating the opening of the school by the great Aneurin Bevan, that's been secured and moved off site already, and that will be kept safe for posterity. But I think the important thing is not to look back, but to look forward to what this demolition is going to enable us to achieve, the plans we have for the redevelopment of the site and the facilities that will be provided. And that's what the focus is. And yes, we've reached an important milestone, and I hope that progress continues, Presiding Member.
Thank you, Councillor Smith. Okay, the next question is from Councillor Chris Hawley.
You said no further questions.
Okay.
You had to leave, sorry.
Sorry, Fiona. You okay?
To leave early, sorry.
Okay. The next question is from Councillor Wendy Lewis. Or is it which one of you speak? Anybody speaking? No? No supplementaries? Okay. That's the end of the questions then. That's the end of the public question, the councillors' questions. That's the end of the council meeting. Can I wish you all a very Merry Christmas and a safe journey home? Okay.
Night, everyone.
Thank you. Good night.
19 minutes.